Hey guys, yeah, this was a Time Wizard tournament called Metropolis 2024. We had quite a great turnout here. We have Garth playing Chaos Turbo versus Andy playing Reasoning Gate. We can see he sets a card to start us off. And Garth just considering his options, sets 2 back rows and a monster. Pass turn.
Yeah, I considered, I had pretty good hand over here, so I was considering going for game, but I get Trap Dust Shoot, which turns out not to matter. He puts a D-Mark back into my deck, and since he has a monster set, I decide not to go for a big push this turn, and I didn't feel too much pressure just yet, so did him pass it right back to him.
We can see that, Garth's getting in with Gravekeeper Spy. Interesting to see him summon it in defense. When you're fighting Reasoning Gate, you do want to try and get them under Stein range, because then the whole duel becomes a lot easier, where you'll take damage all the way up to 2,900. Obviously, Andy does have the scapegoat here, so Garth elects to kill one of the tokens. And passes right back.
Yeah, now that he has a monster in attack, I immediately see that I have a target to attack over and hopefully get a lot of damage for game. So I start off by summoning a Thousand Eyes to hopefully bait this back row.
And we can see it does work. He does fire off the Raigeki Break here.
So now I know that I have free reign, and I'm pretty confident that I can get game from here. I've got a lot of cards in my hand to work with, and off the Monster Gate we had D-Mark, which ironically is actually not the card I wanted to summon. I wanted any machine at this point, but it's all good because it allows me to get back the Monster Gate and go again. And at this point I kind of know that any card that I hit is going to do the job, so it was a good feeling.
We do land on a Jinzo here. We know that the rest of the monsters were going to be machines. And Andy goes in for a lethal swing with double limiter removal, and Garth, not knowing he's dead yet is just still trying to figure things out. Mm-hmm. And eventually you can see he realizes and packs it up. Alright, so he sides out 2 copies of Jar of Greed, double Nobleman of Crossout, which are quite bad against Reasoning Gate.
Yeah, I think he definitely had the right idea with the side here. I think everything that he's put in did a really good job in the coming games.
He's playing Scapegoat as well, and Azura Priest, which is good against Jinzo.
Yeah, personally, I was playing 2 Cyberstein and 2 Megamorph, and throughout the tournament I was actually siding out one of each because they weren't performing the way I wanted them to. I sided in Cannon Soldier just to keep the monster count the same, and I really like it. Also really like the one-up traps. People don't expect them in Reasoning, and they allow you to get a lot of advantage. So yeah, that was my plan.
Alright, so now we kick off with game 2. By the way, these mats are really, really beautiful.
Oof,
straight into Delinquent Duo.
Really brutal against any combo deck, because you just want to have as many cards as possible to be able to do what you want to do. So starting 2 cards down is always really rougher than any normal deck.
We do see a copy of Metamorphosis, and Andy elects to discard his Premature Burial as well.
Normally I wouldn't like to discard Prem, but I had to keep the cards that were most live at the time, and luckily I do top deck a Pot of Greed. And I see a Reasoning Gate, which just a Reasoning, which would normally be great, but now I'm getting a bit nervous because my Prem's in the grave, and he calls 8, and of course he hits the D-Mark, so unfortunately I will not be getting that back. So I was not feeling so good at this time. I actually elect to just pass and try draw a few more cards.
Garth decides to fire off a copy of Thunder Dragon, fetching 2 more copies into his hand. And obviously before flipping Magician of Faith, resolving Delinquent Duo a second time.
Yeah, very good play by him, setting the Faith early and not fearing any kind of removal. You got to be super aggressive against any kind of reasoning gate deck, and yeah, I mean, he punished me.
Yeah, this is Andy's only got 2 cards in your hand now. It is a very powerful combo deck, but it does still require cards to play. Yeah, Garth getting in there for a good 16. Andy, considering his options, we can see he's in a very interesting spot. He elects to go for a heavy and hits a Raigeki.
Yeah, at this point, I have Cyberstein in my hand, so I was really just thinking, like, if I'm going to make a push, I've got to go for it now. He had already lost 2k, so I just wanted to punch in and hope that maybe he didn't have the defenses to allow him to survive one more turn, and maybe I could steal the game.
Yeah, obviously we can see Garth also just looking at his options. He decides to fire off a card destruction, discarding a Blackluster Soldier. As he didn't have any darks in his grave, we can see Andy there. Ooh, you pitched BLS. That's quite a hectic pitch. Finds an upstart. And then, yeah, he's able to wall up again. Garth actually being up on card in card advantage. If you look at the turn count, obviously it's even now because Andrew drew a card, but
yeah, I mean, at this point I'm considering everything that he could possibly have set. I don't have much going for me at the moment, and I know that the longer I wait, the more control he's going to get over the game. I have a Facilia in hand and a Metamorphosis set. I obviously don't know what his back row are, and I'm fearing Mirror and Torrential and everything. I also figured he would have a monster that was too big for Stein to beat over, so I was a bit too scared to go for a game shot there. Turned out to be the right call, I think.
Garth just looking at some back row options during his draw phase, decides to fire off the Mystical Space Typhoon. Yeah, and you can see now that Andy's lost 5k, he's in lethal range himself, and we can see no sides from Andy here. Garth does realize that Trap Dashud is actually quite bad, so elects to put back in something more useful. We can only assume that's his Jar of Greed. And we are off to a game 3. Garth gaining 1,000 life points from Andy's upstart Goblin.
Yeah, I felt pretty good about my hand. I started with the goats, which is always nice to start with reasoning. You feel quite safe and ready to kind of combo off in a few turns, but ouch, do it again.
That's a very big hit. Snatch Steal. It's also one of those cards that just, allows you to not only take your opponent's monster, but also get something out the way for a big swing. Andy's other pitches Scapegoat.
Yeah, since I had the one set.
Garth does find another Trinity piece himself. We've now seen all 3 Trinity pieces in this match. Discards a Jar of Greed.
Yeah, pretty good call. You want to play as fast as possible. Don't want to take an extra turn just to draw a card.
And a Chaos Sorcerer.
Yeah.
He went quite far into the think tank for that. He's firing off Heavy Storm. And he elects to fire off the Scapegoat in response.
I thought I had a nice plus for a second there, but then he cleaned out my goats with the Azura, and I was very much regretting pitching my second Scapegoat earlier on in the game, which has now left me with no tokens available for the 2 monster gates in my hand.
He does call Reasoner, and Garth calls 8.
Yeah.
You see a Jinzo land.
At this point, I have just the Cannon Soldier and 2 monster gates. I know that his back row is most likely dead because of Jinzo, and I'm kind of considering how I can potentially go for game here. I know that if I hit a Cyberstein here, it will be game. That's basically my main my main win condition. And I hit a blowback, which is, I guess, okay.
We call Prio here, and Garth realizing that he needs to flip the Scapegoats now before he sees the result, because blowback's a very kind of use it or lose it kind of card. You might actually lose your card if you don't chain it.
Yeah, I think being goats, you would activate it anyway, and it was obviously devastating to see goats, because now I know that I'm in a very vulnerable position, and he does indeed have the Snatch Steal to absolutely destroy my position that I had.
Yeah, Scapegoat very, very good against Jinzo. It's doing a lot better than a threatening Roar would have. Obviously, because the Jinzo would have hit the field before Garth would have been able to chain threatening Roar. So just a very, very wild turn of events that we're seeing here. It does summon an Azura Priest. Decides to go in for a lot of damage.
Yeah, now my own Jinzo acting against me, even though I only play 2 traps in the main deck, and after siding in another 2, my Call of the Haunted is looking very dead here, alongside 2 other bluffs that I set to hopefully buy myself another turn. But Garth fears no evil, man.
Well, he does have your Jinzo and an Azura Priest. I don't think there's much he fears. And well, yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone for coming out. We hope to see you at the same event in Durban and Pretoria this weekend, actually. Good luck to all who will be attending there. Enjoy, guys.